Hi, I want to talk today about what Jelly knew about dying in company. Most of what passes for intimacy is a negotiation between two machines or egos. The warmth is real, the care is real, and underneath both, the machine is running its confirmation requirements, managing the participation and the perception that the other person has, calculating what needs to be maintained. There is one circumstance in which that negotiation becomes impossible. That's when one of the people involved is dying. So, I want to talk today about a novel that Martin Butler's written. It's called Conversations with Jelly. My name's Debbie Butler, and Martin Butler is my husband. So, I just want to be straightforward with you about why I'm talking about this book, because it's the book that I come back to most often. It's the one I recommend most often to people who've been working in this framework for a while and want to see it in a human face rather than as a philosophical argument in abstract. The novel follows Jack, a tyre fitter, not a philosopher, not someone with a worked out position in any of this, and his encounter is with Jelly, a teacher who's dying. What the book is about underneath the story is this: what becomes available between two people when one of them can no longer run the machine's standard operations. Jelly is dying. He doesn't have the energy for the performance. He doesn't want to maintain the confirmation requirements, presenting the version of himself that will be received in the right way, managing how he's perceived, running the calculation about what needs to be protected. He doesn't need all this. So stripping back to what he actually is. And what he actually is turns out to be something Jack had never encountered in another person before in his life. This is the thing the novel demonstrates, not argues, demonstrates. The machine, when it can no longer run, reveals what was underneath it. This week has been about what happens when the machine encounters accurate perception. On Monday, we talked about the person who sees through you. Yesterday, why being understood produces an impulse to redirect rather than receive. What Jelly's dying does is remove the option entirely. Most people never experience contact without the machine's frame. They experience warmth, care, love, always within the maintenance requirements running underneath, always with the architecture of mutual protection in place. So, what Jelly offers Jack is contact without that architecture. Jack doesn't know how to receive it at first. It is uncomfortable before it is anything else. He resists it, and then he's altered by it, despite himself, which is closer to how this actually works than any account that makes it sound like a project or a practice or an awakening or whatever you ought to call it. There is something the book circles around without even quite naming it: the death of the relational machine. Not the death of Jelly, that's a given from the start. The death of the particular structure that organises how two people meet. When that structure is gone, what remains is contact, not managed contact, just the presence of one person with another, without the usual mutual protection in place. The relationship is finally about what it was always about, underneath the management. And this is what Jelly knows, not through philosophy, through the specific clarity that arrives when the usual options are gone. When you can't perform, you stop performing. When you can't manage the perception, it stops being managed. What remains is what you actually are, in contact with what the other person actually is. I'm aware that dying is not scheduled as a practice, but the direction it points is available. The machine manages because it fears what accurate perception will reveal. The practice in the negative philosophy sense is a gradual reduction of that fear through understanding. The less the machine needs to manage, the more contact becomes possible. Not Jelly's contact, that was forged in extremity, but something that moves in the same direction. Conversations with Jelly is available at the link in the description on Amazon. If this week has been landing, if the pieces about being seen and being understood have produced something worth sitting with, this is the book that shows what all of that looks like when the machine is no longer in the way. It is the one that stays with you. So check out the book on Amazon. The full article of this is on Patreon, at my Patreon account, and that'll be in the links below. If you want to go in deeper into the philosophy of it, go into Martin Butler's Patreon. If you want a free introductory session to the practice, go to www.negativephilosophy.com and look for the booking form, Introduction to Practice. So remember that Martin's also written a lot of other books, but Jelly happens to be my favourite. Thank you.